well, I guess let's just play Chevelle all day.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I will make this into a razor and stab you.
That's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So you started with
the star.
Started working the 2-bar phrases, and then you switched over to that whatever the song was to kind of get his attention.
Okay. Well then, since it's been a couple weeks, why don't we review a little bit?
What?
Our jazz stuff. So.
A couple weeks.
Yeah. So we have a couple set of rules, right? Do you remember what any of them are? How do we decide what's what? You don't remember?
It's either look at the notes or something else.
Okay. So, what is this?
What?
What do we play here?
Doobie-bop.
Okay, why?
Because I have it memorized.
Okay, but remember we talked about it the last time we were doing this. We talked about... Hold on. This is going to be the talking portion, so let's take these and put them down for a sec.
Right, I'll put them down.
Okay. All right, then they're going to stay there. All right. So, because just memorizing them doesn't always work, right? Because then if they throw something new at you, how are you supposed to know until you've memorized it? Until I tell you. You have to be able to figure it out on your own, right? If I show you a word that you've never read before...
Like?
I don't know, but I don't know what all the words that you've read before. But if I showed you a word that you've never read before, are you sunk or can you sound it out?
I can sound it out.
You can sound it out, right? So it's going to be the same thing, right? So eventually we want you to know why you picked what you picked. Okay? So, Dooba Dooba is almost always going to be downbeat into upbeat. 1 and 2 and. Downbeat to upbeat. Dooba Dooba. Right? If it was downbeat into downbeat, it would be Dooba Dooba Doo.
Dooba-doo-ba bark or dooba-doo bark bark.
Yeah, so downbeat into an upbeat, that's going to go ahead and be your dooba dooba, okay? And almost always that's going to show up on beat 1 and the end of 2, or it's going to show up on beat 3 and the end of 4. Almost always. Okay? All right. What about this?
Rough bark bark.
Okay, why?
Rough bark bark.
It's because it's rapid fire upbeats. Upbeat, upbeat. So if you have a rest on the downbeat and an upbeat, and it's by itself, you're going to use rumba, right? If it's short, you're going to use rough bark. And if there's more upbeats, that's why I was going to take the sticks. Let me have them.
Let's stick them there.
Let go, Zane.
Okay. So.
Yellow. Do better.
2 upbeats, right? So that's how you get rough bark bark. The rough is giving you the down so that you can then kick up to an upbeat, right? So, what about this?
Dooba-doo-ba.
Why?
Whatchamacallit? down and up.
Okay, sure. This one's a special case and could also be rough bark bark. Why?
Because it's 2 rapid fire upbeats.
Yes, it's because this can act as the setup. It'd be the same as if you put a rest over it. Be like rough bark bark. Right? So that one's a special one. And that's why it's important to know the rules, because if you know the rules, then you can pick which one you like more. So personally, if I see a rhythm like that, I like rough bark bark more. I think it fits better. But would dooba dooba still fit? It would. So are you wrong if you pick either one? No, sir. Okay. Right here.
Doobie-bop.
Okay. So this one's a little bit different, right? Because you don't have the down
Dooba.
into the
It's
up.
just a dooba.
Yeah. It's just kind of the end of it. But you can use the beginning as the setup. Dooba dooba. Okay? That's the same thing for what if you just had this and nothing else?
Let's go doobie-dooba.
Okay.
Because it ends
On
when
a
there's a tie, so it's probably going to be
Mhm.
at the end.
Yeah. You also could use what? What's another one that works here? Is this a downbeat or an upbeat?
Wood bark.
Is it a downbeat or an upbeat?
Helps if you look at it, Zane.
I take one stretch.
What do you think?
Up.
Upbeat, right? So, isn't that just like this? It's a lone upbeat by itself. So you could use what?
Up bark bark and doobie-dooba. Because it ends.
Well, you can't use a bark. Why?
Or a bark crash.
Roomba. Because it holds, right?
Or
Roomba. Is bark short or is bark long?
short,
Mm-hmm. So that means Roomba is what?
medium.
Well, it can be, but it's going to be longer. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the big one to remember is, are you hitting an upbeat dry or are you hitting down into up? That's most of what you're looking for right now. What's that?
Doobie-dooba.
Why?
It's down and up. There's not multiple upbeats
Good.
going.
Good. Right here.
Rough bark or no Roomba.
Good. Why?
Because it's multiple upbeats.
It's an upbeat, but it's a long one. It's one long upbeat. So Roomba. Right? Because that's when we hold it. What about here?
Doobie-dooba.
What's the first?
A rest. So
It's a rest. So you have no downbeat.
Yeah. And then there's no downbeat.
So if there's no downbeat, what do we need to use instead?
Rough bark crash.
Why? So not only is there no downbeat, so we want to use
There's a tie.
rough bark bark, but you don't want to call it two barks because why?
There's a tie.
Yeah, so it's a long note. So you have one short note and one long note, so you treat it as rough bark crash. Right?
Yep.
So memorizing is good, but it's better to know why, because if you know why, then I could pull you to some random page in the future and you could figure out what you're supposed to play here.
About a doobie-dooba.
Right? Looking at something like this, there's a lot of stuff on here that we haven't talked about yet. But you could probably figure it out.
I saw you doing this as a doobie-dooba, so that's a doobie-dooba.
Yeah.
That's a doobie-dooba.
Good.
Last part of that is a doobie-dooba without the triplet.
What's that?
Oh. Oh. Down beat?
Is that a downbeat?
Upbeat.
Upbeat. So what? What are we going to use?
Bark.
Is it short or long?
It's short.
Yeah. It's kind of medium. But Yeah, because it's a quarter note. Anything longer than a quarter note is going to be long. Usually shorts are eighth or less. So quarter note kind of sits right on that range. So I'll probably Roomba to Oomba. You could Roomba that twice. Roomba, a Roomba.
Like my Roomba, I do my Roomba.
Mm-hmm. So as soon as you know how they work, then what about this? How would you play this? You can figure it out, right?
Dooba bar. Bar.
Dooba dooba.
Dooba.
What is that? Just a downbeat by itself.
Yeah.
So what do? Ba. Dooba dooba ba.
I'm just tired.
You weren't until we got in here.
Okay, well, if we need to wake you up, we can wake you up a little bit. But the big thing is you have to be able to figure out what it is that you're playing. That's why we bother talking about this stuff. I don't want to just be boring, right? I've had you play a bunch and I've had you memorize a bunch. But then what starts to happen is you get to a point where we start looking at something that you haven't quite played yet, and you're thinking, I have no idea what to do because I haven't memorized it yet. You have to tell me, and then I'm going to memorize it. And that doesn't work, right? It's so much better when you can read for yourself, right? Because otherwise, let's pretend you didn't know how to read books at all, right? If you wanted to hear a story, what has to happen?
I have to ask.
You have to ask somebody. I have to read it to you.
Yeah.
And then what if you forget about a certain part of the story?
Then you have to read it.
I have to read it to you again. I have to go back in there and I have to do it. What if people are busy or no one what if we lose the book? You know, like there's all kinds of things where well, I guess losing the book doesn't help because then even if you could read, that doesn't matter. But yeah, the point is that it's better for you to understand for yourself. That's why I'm bothering to tell you, even if it's a little bit boring. Okay?
All right.
Okay. So it's important to know why it matters. So let's go back to these two measure figures then, and let's figure it out. So what is that?
Ba.
Yep.
What?
So we're going to put together a plan here. So, ba,
Boom. Roomba.
you could, but it's long or short?
Short, so rough bark.
Mm-hmm. So you could ba, boom, rough bark. What is this? Just these two.
Roomba.
Kind of. This is a special one. It's an upbeat to a downbeat. Just a little bit different.
That would be like dooba. Setup?
That's their setup.
What about the rest of
One,
them?
da da. And then what's this? This should be easy.
Ba, ba.
What?
It's too long to be a dooba box. It's like
No, it's a dotted quarter note into an eighth note. That's the classic dooba dooba. Dooba dooba. Look, going all the way back here. It's like one of the first ones you did. Dotted quarter note, eighth note. Dooba dooba. So, G, 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 ba, boom, room, ba, set up, dooba dooba. Right? Now you have a plan. Can you try it?
So it's
Ba, boom, rough bark, set up, dooba dooba. So see, you're trying to memorize it. Instead of trying to memorize it, you should be reading it, right? So now that we've already gone through it once, tell it to me again. So that I know you know it. You can read it.
ba, boom, roomba, setup, dooba dooba.
Okay, you said Roomba, but what should we do with that one specifically?
Or
Yes. Why?
short.
Because it's short. Okay, so you gave me what sounded like a good plan. Can you now play it? Give me 2 bars at a time. Yeah? That was fine. Tell you what, before we do time, work it out. Do what you just did. Work it out. This is hard stuff to read.
We already read this.
I know. But if we didn't need to read it anymore, you would be If it's still hard for you, then we need to go over and review it, right? Even if we already did it, if it's not easy for you, then we got to go back and review. It's been weeks since we've done any of this. What do you think? Is this easy? No? Well, if it's not easy, then we need to spend some more time on it. I'm treating you like a big kid. We're not doing little kid stuff anymore. This is big stuff. But you want to know what's cool about this? I did a crash course on this stuff with Wyatt. Guess where Wyatt ended up?
Where?
He ended up in the A band, which whenever there's two jazz bands or two orchestras, you have what's called an A band and a B band. The A band is the advanced kids. The B band are the kids that don't know how to read very well. So he joined the jazz band and said, hey, I want to try for the advanced jazz band. And he said, no, I don't let 6th graders try. And he said, well, I really want to try. And he goes, fine, I'll let you try. And he did such a good job that he bumped him up. So in other words, because Wyatt did all of this, he got to skip the beginning band and jump straight to the advanced band. So he's playing with kids that are all better at this than he is. So,
and then you want the kids to be better. So
because what happens? What happens to Wyatt?
He's gonna get better and better.
And he's gonna get better fast. Because Mr. McCauley is now asking him to do stuff that's very hard. And he's having to practice a lot. That is the fastest way to get better at something. Is to have that kind of pressure and to have to work hard at it. Okay? So let's try. I'm pushing you hard because I know you can. There you go.
It's hard to see out of the corner of my eye. I'm reading that and I'm trying to...
Yeah, you'll get used to playing without looking at the drums. It's an important skill to have because you're gonna have to read charts. Okay? Let's take a look at the second one. Let's put together a plan. What's the plan? Start one piece at a time. So what's this?
Boom, rock, bark.
Okay, good.
And then it goes to roomba, doo-ba.
Okay, I like it. I like it. That's not a lot of room for that though. A rough bark roomba. You'd have to go really fast. So when you have rapid fire upbeats, what do? Rough bark crash. It's an upbeat. Feels like a plan to me. Ready to go try? Real quick, slow it down a little bit because your time got wacky and all over the place. You played longer than 2 bars and then you slow it down. There you go. Slowed it down just a little bit, made it sound much better rather than trying to go too fast and not really being able to hang on. Okay? All right, let's put together another plan. Take a look at number 3. What do we do?
Bop, boom, rough bark.
Yeah, just a crash on 2. And a bop. Is that bigger than that? No. Yep, a little bop. Okay, sounds like you have a plan. Getting just a little bit wacky here. So let's try holding you accountable. Hold on. Does this feel fast or slow?
Slow.
Is it too slow? Does it feel good? Kind of where it's getting wonky, right? Because we're cutting out beat 3. Going bop, boom, rough bark, 4, 1, 2. That's why you're having to wait so long for that. Bop, boom, boom, rough bark, crash, bop. Yep. See? So, that's why it's important to use a metronome, because the metronome is going to make sure that you're not accidentally forgetting something. Because with jazz, there's a lot of stuff going on. Is it easy to forget something? Sure is. For you to drop a beat here and there? Yeah, because you got a whole lot of stuff going on. I know. We've been dropping it the whole time. I didn't catch it until we got to 3, and I was like, oh, no wonder that's feeling weird. Because you need to hit that on the end of 4. We've been hitting on the end of 3. Yep. Okay. Look here. So, dooba-doo works. What works better?
Rough bark bark.
Yeah. There you go. You nailed it on the first one. There's just a lot on your brain.
Dude.
It's not that, it's just... I don't know. Just something else. It's making me want to go to the crash. Switch over.
Yeah, because you're...
I'm going to wait.
Mm-hmm. So, one of the big things is that you're very used to playing rock and metal. Does rock and metal use a lot of upbeats or a lot of downbeats?
Down.
A lot of downbeats. Where do you crash more often than any other place in the measure?
Downbeat.
On 1. Crash. 1.
Crash 1.
1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. That's where your crash is. Almost always. Rock, metal, whatever. Almost always your crash is going to be on 1. Jazz, it's almost never on 1. It's almost always the and of 4. It's almost always on upbeats. So it's a little bit weird. The other one is that then when you switch into jazz mode and you start thinking about only down or only upbeats, then they'll throw a downbeat at you and it's going to feel really weird because you're not used to playing downbeats in jazz. You're used to playing downbeats. You get used to playing upbeats, but only when you're playing jazz, and then they ask you to play downbeats in jazz. I went through exactly this. I went through this book with my teacher. I got frustrated and I missed a lot of very easy things like that. It's very easy. Just 1, 2. That's all it is. Rest, 2. But you get so used to hearing upbeats that you want to play that as an upbeat. Bop, boom, a rough bark, bark, crash. So that's wrong. That's another upbeat. You gotta wait for the downbeat. Bop, boom, a rough bark, bark, crash. 2, 4. But you have to wait a little bit. Jazz wants to go on all the upbeats, but this one they want you on a downbeat.
They're just switching the metal.
Well, I don't know about that, but they are switching it up. And they're doing that intentionally. It was the same when we were in the rock and bass drum. They'd occasionally switch it up on you. Why?
Keep me alert.
Yeah. Because you'll start to go into autopilot. Okay? Can we try that one again? First one, you nailed it. Second one got a little bit sloppy, and then I think you got frustrated, so then your third one wasn't good, and then that was why you were frustrated. But your first one, you nailed it. You can play it. Hit the crash, but you went for it at the right time, and that's what matters. Even if you miss a little bit, as long as I know that you went at the right spot. just warning you. Okay. What about number 5?
Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba.
Do-ba-do-ba-ba-do. Bark. Good. And then upbeat, upbeat. So what is that? Do-ba-do-ba-ba-do. Bark.
Bark. Bark, bark, bark.
Kind of, but this is long, right?
Ba.
Crash. Do-ba-do-ba-ba-do. Bark. Crash. Bop, bop. Right? Can you see it? Upbeat, upbeat. Just make sure that you know the difference between these two. Because this is the one that you do want to stay on the upbeat. That was it. I liked the rough into it down too. That was very nice.
That was excellent.
Good. That means I drilled it into your brain.
I just dropped it.
Good. Good. I
better.
want that to happen.
Let me drop this.
Oops, I accidentally did this thing right because I've been conditioned. Works for me. Very nice.
That sounds like a jazz player.
Yeah, it's starting to really come together.
That's just my.
That's true. That is true, actually. That is your conditioning
It's
coming into play.
autopilot.
Autopilot conditioning are kind of the same thing.
I don't know what that is. It's new. Unmade.
Okay. Don't turn it into a shuffle. So, I caught it on camera. That was you having fun with jazz. Why do you think I didn't stop you?
That was
You had fun with jazz. I saw it. It sure was.
You were playing upbeats, downbeats.
You were doing some comps. You were doing
Don't hit his
some
wrist,
figures. You were having fun playing jazz, and I saw it. It's on camera. We got it.
That was
You switched to a shuffle.
Yeah, you switched to a shuffle, but there was some jazz in there. I don't know. Now we're starting to head back into rock territory. All right. So,
Careful.
yeah, don't go actually smacking me with a stick.
Poke you.
That was what my teacher used to do. He would, if my hands weren't like this, they went like that, he would bam.
We literally smack you.
I'd come home with red marks.
That hurt?
Was he Catholic?
no,
Was he a priest or a nun?
Not sure.
What if you did this? You just have you drop and do push-ups for the lesson.
He was incredible though. That was the first time that I knew that there were people that could play to a metronome like this.
Just watch the metronome.
No, but then. Okay, ready? Hold it. How long do you think it took you to fall off? That's a very hard thing to do, and he can do that. Alright. It was impressive. His percussion quartet was Grammy nominated.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They might have won. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to them in a long time. Anyway.
What? Was it Al?
No, not Al.
He didn't smack you?
No, Al never smacked me.
What'd he do?
Maybe verbally.
I was like,
What'd he do?
he can get real tough with you though. Tougher than I get. I get tough with you sometimes, but not like he does.
You never do.
Well, I think that I do, but I guess it's also not as. I probably don't have to get as tough with you because Dad's here and he does it instead. I think I've had to a couple times. All right, so
One almost here, maybe.
let's go back to talking about
Yes.
this. So how about number
Yes.
6?
I found chat. That's all
Yeah,
I
isn't
know.
that
Nice.
great? Isn't that great? The
I
more you
find with not
the
chat.
more you understand it, the more fun it will be. I'm willing to pinky promise you that is the case. The more that you understand it, the more fun it gets. Okay? That's not just you. That's plenty of my other students. And guess who else that applied to?
What? Not you.
I hated jazz. I stopped playing the saxophone because I didn't want to play jazz. And then I switched over to drums.
Just to turn around and
Just to turn around and have to go back into jazz.
Why?
But then I came to understand what my role was and what I was supposed to do, and then it actually becomes fun.
I don't.
My roommates were laughing at me because they were like, "Oh, what are you gonna do for finals for this week for the high school?" I said, "Oh, I think the marching band is just gonna be sight reading some jazz charts. It's gonna be fun." They said, "Wait, what?" I'm like, yeah, it's
the one kid in your class and be like, sweet.
yeah.
That's Allie with homework.
All right, Bubba, let's go.
This one's
Yep.
short.
Bubba's.
Let's go. Number 6. Put it together. What's that?
Break it apart, put it back together.
Yeah. What is that? Uh-huh. And then I like this one a lot actually. So, okay.
Why don't you ever
Rough,
write
rough,
it down
rough.
like this?
Because again, this is memorizing. Memorizing is not really helping you read. It can a little bit. The flashcards were great. They can. But then what happened? The whole reason we're going back and doubling back is because you then focused on memorizing instead of reading. You weren't learning why you were making decisions. You were just making the decisions that you were told to make.
Good.
Okay.
I made a decision.
Yes, but only because you were told to make them. This now, you're making the decisions because you understand how it works. And there's a big difference. Because then, again, if I put something in front of you that you don't know how it works, you can figure it out. Rather than saying, I can't play this until someone tells me how to do it. Okay? So, let's work it out. I think you already said, but say it again. What is this? Okay, good.
That could be Roomba.
Yeah, but...
Rough bar.
Uh-huh. So, rough bark, bark, a rough bark. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, a rough bark, a rough bark crash. And then what is this? What is that? Upbeat or downbeat? Downbeat. What is that?
Up.
So down into upbeat is what?
Dooba-dooba.
Yeah. Rough bark, bark, a rough bark crash, dooba dooba. And go. So it's interesting, and I'm not exactly sure why, but on a majority of these, the first time you're starting it a little bit late. You're giving like an extra, like half a beat, sometimes an extra beat, and then you run it. But then when you loop back around and you do it the second time's perfect. And I'm not really sure what's happening there. Some weird disconnect. That was great. Yep, also correct. Okay, so I think your brain is gonna fry. So, in fact, yeah, I can see some steam coming out of your ears. I'm gonna try to push your brain back in. All right. We're going to pivot a little bit. Okay. I still want to keep talking about this, but you can take kind of a little bit more of a relaxed